Hello, good morning. Welcome to the EPP group briefing for this session. Our chairman, Manfred, has the floor. Thank you.
Peter, thank you. Welcome. Thank you so much for your interest in an extremely important period of time, even an historic week. We see the mobilization of Russian army on the Ukraine border, and war is again becoming a reality in Europe. For us as EPP Group, it's first of all important to clarify that we speak about a Russian aggression. So the starting point is Russia, is Moscow. I guess the background is that the biggest threat for Vladimir Putin is a successful democratic Ukraine. That is what he's really concerned about. To see that other ways of organizing a society, of a democratic, freedom-based society, is functioning also in Ukraine. That is what he really fears. You know, the basic principles are not to be negotiated. It's about sovereignty of an European country, and that war is not an allowed tool in today's politics. That is the lesson we learned after the Second World War, and that's why we have to defend these basic principles. I want to underline that I see also some weaknesses on our side. We have no European Council meeting until now in this development on the Ukraine side. I think that is needed to sit together as European leaders and discuss what is our answer now, what is our common reaction to this. And finally, the best way to do our best to protect peace is to present to Vladimir Putin a clear bill. That's why the list of sanctions, the concrete actions we want to do afterwards, is now needed to be outspoken on this. For us as EPP Group, you know that we were always clear on Nord Stream 2. Nord Stream 2 cannot be functional if Putin goes to war. And also SWIFT is for us on the table. The exclusion of the Russian financial sector towards the connection on the Western world is then also on the table, and also other elements. So we have to be clear on the sanctions list towards Putin. That's now necessary if he knows concretely that the bill will be expensive for him. Then it's the only chance now to stabilize a peace approach. The second thing of the week is the ruling of the European Court of Justice on the rule of law mechanism. You know, the European People's Party, together with a lot of friends in the European Parliament, we fought for a binding rule of law mechanism when we spent the 1.6 trillion euros MFF and Next Generation EU Fund. And we were happy that we found a common understanding that you can only spend European taxpayers' money if you respect the basic principles of rule of law. And we are now looking forward for the decision of tomorrow. I hope for the best. I hope for a positive assessment, for a green light from our court. And then it's not anymore time to wait. Then it's time to implement, and that is then needed from a Commission's point of view. Another issue of the day is the fight against cancer. You know, we had today a discussion on this. The colleagues who worked on the special committee in our fight against cancer plan are finalizing their work. We are speaking about 1.3 million Europeans dying every year due to cancer. That's why it's the second biggest killer in the European Union. And there is so much what we can do. I started, together with EPP friends, the mission to make the fight against cancer as a top priority for Europe in Helsinki, in my nomination speech as candidate for the European Commission. And then it was really broadly supported by my friends in the EPP family. We also saw then a lot of support from other political families, and now we arrived to this plan, to this master plan, and we want to implement this during this mandate. We want to deliver as EPP on this aspect, and I want to underline that we were already successful because the European Commission presented now already 4 billion euros for the fight against cancer plan. That is a major achievement. A lot of investments are going on, and if I may be more precise, for us, it's not acceptable to have a first and second class European when it is about the treatment as cancer patient. It is important that we open innovation on a European level, because for rare cancer and for children especially, we need joint innovative activities on European level to find good treatment and medicine against cancer, and we need a common procurement. And the final point I want to make is that we have the African Union Summit from the French presidency and from the Commission in Brussels this week. I want to underline that for us this is a key priority, and that's why the event, the summit, is a great chance for showing EU-Africa cooperation. And the main message is for us that we speak about partnership. We don't speak anymore about development aid. We speak about partnership on equal level. That is what we need, especially in economic and trade relationships. Thank you so much.
Time for questions. Laura.
Hi, Laura Zornoza from EFE. I have a question on this weekend's regional election in Spain, in Castilla y León, where the national branch of the EPP narrowly won, but will need a coalition to form a government, so either with Vox or the Socialist Party. So first question would be on that potential coalition with Vox, which, for example, would not happen in your home country, tends to be avoided in the European Parliament. Do you have any message to Mr. Casado on that potential coalition that hasn't been ruled out?
Yes, I have a message. First of all, a message of congratulations, because Partido Popular won, so we increased our result. We are now the biggest party in the region. That is the success. So congratulations. The third election in a row, Pablo Casado, Partido Popular, increased the support among citizens, and having in mind that the Partido Popular is bigger than all left parties together is a great result and a great success for Partido Popular. So congratulations is my first message, and it shows that people in Spain want to see change. And the second message is that I see Sanchez cooperating with separatists from regional level. Sanchez was also working together with Podemos, which started as a quite radical party. And that's why there is a lively discussion going on in Spain about who should be part of a government and who should not be part of a government. But everyone should have a look on who is the cooperation partner, and especially the Sanchez cooperation with the separatistic parties, quite nationalistic in their behavior in the regions, is also a point of concern. So that's why this is a general, let me say, challenge for all Spanish parties.
Sandor, follow up by Laura.
Yeah, so also on that second option of a Gran Coalition between EPP and S&D, do you have any opinion on that possibility?
Well, what I see is that Pablo Casado was offering, especially when it is about the big investments on the Corona funds, on Next Generation EU funds, good cooperation with the current government, with Prime Minister Sanchez, and that was not accepted. That was not the open-hand approach. The readiness to cooperate was not accepted by the government. So for the moment, I see no readiness from Sanchez to go in any kind of even sectorial cooperation with Partido Popular. So what I wish is to see that Partido Popular is continuing the successful campaigning, and that we see a change in government in Spain.
Yes, another election-related question, this time from Hungary. I remember 4 years ago you supported Prime Minister Orbán before the elections. What's your position now? Do you support anyone explicitly, the opposition maybe? Thank you.
Well, I don't have a position in the Hungarian elections. That's for EPP, not our main field. You know, we have Orbán not anymore among us, so that's clear. What I see is that Viktor Orbán changed, compared this 4 years ago, in a lot of fields, fundamentally his position. I only give you one example: when he is generally advocating for against the European Parliament, that the European Parliament should not anymore be the place to decide about European law. then it is going against the European integration, then it is going against the democratic idea of a European Union. And that changed. There, Viktor Orban changed his position.
Anna Mandensky, I have a question on pandemics, because now in Canada, Prime Minister Trudeau invokes the martial law to fight the virus. Do you think it's proportionate, and do you also envisage similar measures in Europe to vaccinate people 100%? That's what is his goal.
But for me, it's clear the only chance to overcome the pandemic is a high vaccination rate. That's the only chance we have. Otherwise, we will be every winter, every autumn and winter in the same demanding situation to avoid that people are dying due to the pandemic. That's why vaccination is the only way. But from a European point of view, and I'm a European politician, I don't want to intervene in the national debates. I think it's not a European decision-making process to have there a common understanding. It's up to the national level to discuss the issues.
A follow-up. But Canada is a strategic partner of Europe, and the relationship is based on shared values, also human rights. And in this situation, the human rights are suppressed because that's the law they try to apply, or he invoked, Justin Trudeau, this law. So you say that you don't like to comment, but you comment also always on third countries, for example, in Belarus. So if we talk about human rights universally, why Canada should be given an exemption?
Well, I would never compare Belarus with Canada. In Canada, we have Canadian colleagues. We have a functioning democratic state with an independent judiciary. They do their job. They have their own interpretation about their constitution and their fundamental values. And that's why I trust in the system there. I trust in the mechanism there. And this, in a way, respectful behavior should take place. And your question was referring to whether we should do similar things in Europe. Again, that's not a European task.
It's a question in the back of the room.
Khalid Hamid Faruqi from Geo Television News and Young Group of Newspaper. Will you support the moratorium on NATO membership of Ukraine? Because according to NATO itself, its fundamental principle that country which should be accepted as a NATO member should have a functional democracy. And second thing, it should not have any internal conflict. And there is in Ukraine, there is no consensus among public to become a NATO member. And this is all fuss about NATO membership. So can't we, for 25 years, impose moratorium on Ukraine to become a member? Because there is a big conflict. I just visited Luhansk and Donetsk and other areas. I see a lot of public are opposed to NATO membership. Thank you.
First of all, when we speak about Ukraine and NATO, the big surprise is that this is currently not on the table. You spoke about the internal challenges. We speak even the Donetsk area about the ongoing internal war. That's why it is not on the table. That's why it is even more a surprise for all observers why such a military escalation is now needed, having in mind that Ukraine membership is not on the table. When you see the history, then you know 2008 already Ukraine was applying for becoming member of the NATO, and it was Angela Merkel. There were some European leaders who said no to this approach in 2008. So even Russia cannot say that we are in a way inviting and insisting that they should join. That's not the case. So that's why, again, it is a confirmation for my statement that the aggression starts in Moscow, not in Kiev, not in one of the European capitals, not in Washington. It starts in Moscow. I think that is extremely important because we see so much disinformation, so much fake news going around. That's why European politicians must be clear on this. The European public must be clear on this. But I invite you also to see it from another point of view. Probably NATO is still a controversial issue, like in Finland, like in Sweden. It's also controversially discussed in the countries. That's good in a democracy, that you have different opinions on this. But what I think what is necessary today is that in Ukraine, 44 million Ukrainians are currently living under the threat, under the fear that tomorrow a war can start on their territory in Ukraine. That is the feeling among citizens in Ukraine. And having this in mind, I think what is needed is that we fully respect the democratic opinion of the Ukrainian people. That is what we have to respect. If they once come to the opinion to join one of the international institutions, then they should be respected by everyone. And on the European membership, on the EU side, you know, it is even written in the constitution of Ukraine that they want to become member once they want to become member of the European Union. So it's a constitutional perspective in Ukraine, and that should be respected by us. It's not Putin who decides about Ukraine. That's a basic point for all our talks currently. And there is no room of maneuver to discuss and to make any compromise on these fundamental principles. It's good that there is a lively discussion going on in Ukraine, but that is a symbol of a democratic, free state. That's good. And then people decide finally in democratic votes.
I have a follow-up on this question, because then I can't understand where's the logic, because when in '62 there was a Cuban crisis, there was a similar situation. So Americans said that they would never accept ballistic rockets, missiles on Cuba, and that was accepted by Khrushchev. So what's the difference now when Russians say that they don't accept NATO, Ukraine in NATO?
Well, there was never a similar commitment to this, that we are not accepting further member states in the NATO as a format for the NATO or the European Union. Again, the basic thing for me is we don't consider anymore the activities as zone of influence. That is over. That was the old Europe. That's not the new Europe. The new Europe is that people voluntarily decide in a democratic competition in which direction they want to go. And if I may be very clear, you know, I said it, the biggest concern for Putin is not so much any kind of NATO soldier on Ukraine territory, because that will not take place. Huh? We have respected the NATO-Russian common understanding about troops and about in a way, a demilitarized zone in Poland and in Lithuanian zone. That is what we respect currently. What is really the concern is we speak about fundamental values. We speak about democracy, freedom, rule of law, whether you respect this. And what is here the subject is that Putin wants to defend his oligarch power system, dictatorship, you can call it like you want, against the idea of freedom. I was visiting in 2008 and 2009, I was visiting Kiev, and I had talks with the young generation demonstrating on Maidan. And they told me, as young generation in Ukraine, they told me, I simply want to have the right when I'm in front of a judge, that I have the assurance that he is judging my case due to law, due to democratically established law, and not due to power holders behind him, oligarchs who make a judgment. And that is what people tell us there. And that is a basic question on the table. And if this is a basic question, there is no room of maneuver for me as a Democrat, as a European citizen, to be next to my Ukrainian friends when it is about these basic things. And you can say the same about Navalny in Russia and so on. There are also a lot of friends who work in this direction. So it's a basic question of whether we believe in what we can enjoy currently as Europeans, and whether others have the same right like we have to live in such conditions. And I say yes, they have the same rights, and Putin cannot stop them. That is the main message.
Thank you very much.
Thank
we
you
do
so
not
much.
have time for more because Mr. Corlett is pointing out to the
Very
exit.
good. Thank you so much.